Hello, this is Xbox Ahoy, and this is the bonus footage from my time with the blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Beep. Yes, an unexpected video with right first time, which is an idea I've had for a while, actually. Just because, well, I knew that I make the occasional fluff when it comes to recording voiceover, and I thought, you know, kind of doing a blooper reel, so to speak, would be quite interesting. It'd give you an insight into kind of behind the scenes when it comes to voiceover performance. Because, contrary to many people's expectations, I don't simply sit down and reel off the script that I've got in one take right first time. No, every so often I don't really like a line that I say and I'll repeat it, or sometimes I'll just mumble or entirely fluff a line completely. So I just thought I had to sift through about 600 minutes of Modern Warfare 2 recordings, the original ones, and I picked out some of the funnier ones. I may very well do this for other seasons. I might do it for the Black Ops guides, I might do it for the MW3 stuff that I did as well. And if it still proves reasonably popular, I'll do it for Black Ops 2 once I finish that as well. Anyway, on with the questions. Steve Azencho says, "Hey Stu, which gun is your favourite out of the ones you've already featured in your guide?" Which guns do I... Well, I like the ones that are generally better than the other guns, because I can do better. But I like the MTAR. The MTAR was a good gun. Mark 48 is probably my favourite LMG, but I wouldn't really consider the LMGs to be my favourite class. The Remington, that's a remarkably fun gun to use. I like the Peacekeeper as well. It's... Some people say it's overpowered. It's not really overpowered. Its damage up close is a little bit lacking and... Well, it isn't spectacular at a distance, it's just... It's kind of unremarkable at any distance, but it handles real nice, and I like consistent handling weapons. I quite like the M27 as well, although the M27 is not generally regarded as a particularly good gun. It's just got really flat recoil and it handles nicely. So to summarise, favourite guns, MTAR, Peacekeeper, Remington. The Ludo guy asks, "Where is the attachment guide, Stu?" Hey, I've been ill for most of January with bronchitis or some sort of chest infection, so it's a miracle I've been able to sustain the weekly guides. I have a double weekend coming up with the TAC-45 and the FHJ, and I have a job on my hands trying to gild the FHJ, so certainly not going to be anytime soon, but maybe the week after that. I think the SWAT's coming up. I might do the EOTech alongside the SWAT, so get back into doing the attachment guides then. The attachment guides, I always kind of designed those to be kind of a cherry on top of the weapon guides. Weapon guides on Friday are my main focus, and under certain circumstances I will break the Sunday uploads, as I have been. I've been lax, haven't I? But yeah, I'm provisionally hoping to get the EOTech guide done alongside the SWAT. And then from there, I don't know, we'll just work our way through the attachments, won't we? Joe Ree says, "As a PC player, I don't like how the DLC comes out first for Xbox, before the PC and PS3. What do you think of this, for any game where it happens?" Well, it is kind of a bum deal. No two ways about it, really. I mean, it messes with the marketing for the DLC to a certain degree as well, because you've got to have a two-spiked approach in terms of pushing the content. It was pretty noticeable during the MW3 era, with the monthly drops, with the Xbox obviously getting the prime cut, and then the marketing lagging behind for the PS3, and I think they probably lost a few sales on the alternative platform as a result of that. Why did they do it? Well, the simple fact is Microsoft throw them a lot of money to do it. It must be a lot of money. So yeah, I guess I find it hard to blame Activision when Microsoft, they're probably funding the entire DLC with the money they're providing. So it's kind of mutually beneficial, you know? Xbox becomes the lead platform and Activision get to line their coffers with yet more money. Now, for the consumer, is this a bad thing? Well, it kind of is, but it's not really that bad of a thing. All the PS3 guys have to do is wait for a little bit. I suppose a month isn't that long. So yeah, overall, I don't know. I don't really like it, but I can kind of see why they do it, and, well, the reason they do it is Microsoft's money. Pedro Teles 23 says, "I miss when Stu covered all attachments for the weapons and not just giving us the best class. This is something I've given due consideration to, but there are 15 attachments for every weapon pretty much, and they're all the same. They all have the same effects, and I'd just be repeating myself over and over and over again." That's where, I know, I haven't been keeping up with the attachment guides, but that's where they come in, to fill in the sort of, the in-detail look at each of the attachments. But with the weapon guides, it makes sense that the focus would be on the actual weapons. And trust me, if there's ever a unique attachment or a attachment that has a unique effect for a given weapon, I will be making special note of it. But as far as I'm aware, pretty much all the attachments are the same on all the guns, so really sort of going over that for each gun would be just an exercise in repetition. Mother of Derp says, "What the? Unusual short video length?" I don't know, 8 minutes is about the usual standard. I know some of the earlier SMG guides are a bit longer, but a couple of circumstances conspire with the Peacekeeper. The fact that it doesn't really have a history because it's a fictional weapon, and the fact that the class was relatively straightforward. I mean, the PDW video, that touched about 11 minutes, but then we had a lot of new stuff to talk about. We had the Black Hats, the MP grenades, Tactician, and the entire the engineer build concept. The Peacekeeper build is very simple. Point your gun at the people and pull the trigger. Not really much to it. No special strategies or anything like that. So no real reason to make a 12-minute video where an 8-minute video will suffice. I don't really write to a particular length, I write to a structure. And, I mean, all the elements were present and correct with the Peacekeeper, and it just so happened I could express everything that I needed to say in 8 minutes. So, it's a good length. One thing I will say is I did mess up the pacing slightly. I probably should have put slightly longer gaps in between some of the sections. Some remarked that the voiceover felt rushed. I don't record the voiceover as a single piece, I actually record them as individual pieces and put them back together again. And sometimes if I put the pieces back too close together, it feels as though I'm rushing through. It's not the case, I was a little bit aggressive in the pacing, so it felt a little bit faster paced and it would have made for a slightly shorter video. I can't say I'm a big believer in artificially padding the length of my videos so that they fill 10 minutes. I mean, a lot of the MW2 stuff was like 5-6 minutes and they were fine. So to summarise, no. Alphanumeric says, "What's your 16-type personality profile? And what do you think of the International Baccalaureate?" I don't have an opinion on the International Baccalaureate, so sorry about that, but with regards to your first question, probably an INTP, but I don't really put much credence in such a system. Never mind your 16 boxes, I'm a unique snowflake. Jacon1 says, "The AKS-74U is a related weapon? Really?" Every time, without fail, whenever I pick a related weapon, somebody takes an issue with it. Guys, you're overthinking it. I'll just pick a weapon that has a couple of similar traits. People get so hung up on the differences. Like the DSR and the WO2000, externally, they look nearly the same. They have a very similar bullpup configuration. They're both German, high-priced, expensive precision rifles. They both fire a high caliber, but one happens to be semi-auto and the other happens to be bolt action. And the people are like, "Really, Stu? The WA2000 is a related weapon? Really? Yes, really!" I can't win. If I picked like a bolt action weapon, people would be like, "Don't you think the WA2000 is a better related weapon, Stu? It is after all German and a bullpup." So why the AKS-74U? Well, because it's a short carbine kind of SMG assault rifle hybrid. In terms of in-game handling, the AK-74U and the Peacekeeper are probably the most similar weapons going from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 2. And it just, I don't know, it just doesn't matter that much. I mean, it really doesn't. It's just a link to a related video. A kind of related video. It doesn't have to be a perfect match. Most of the time, there isn't a perfect match. Anyway, moving on. Zilwa asks, which is your favourite Quentin Tarantino movie, Stu? Probably Pulp Fiction. I think there are many elements in that film to love, and it's certainly one that stands up to re-watching. That reminds me, I need to watch Django. I'll get to it at some point. It'll probably be out on Blu-ray soon enough. Mr. Eitzab says, "Hey Stu, what are your thoughts on meat? Would you mind if, say, you had a burger made of horses?" Oh yes, the horse meat scandal. One of the more amusing pieces of news to hit the British tabloids. It essentially boils down to rogue horse meat being found in cheap meat supplies that were supposed to be beef. So a number of food products that use relatively inexpensive beef have been found to contain horse. I think the products implicated were a Findus beef lasagna, and what else? Tesco Value Bolognese, and a few other... No, I don't know. I think there's supposed to be a full investigation released on Friday that might reveal other products that have been tainted with horse meat. Now, I've got to say, I don't really have a huge issue with horse meat. I would probably gladly eat a horse burger. were it labelled as such. I think the core issue really is not the fact that it's horse meat. It's the fact that it was labelled as beef and then, oh, actually, it turns out it's horse. It doesn't help that there is kind of a taboo about eating horses, which is strange, really. I don't think I've ever tried horse. I mean, I don't know, I might have. But I wouldn't be averse to it, as long as it was, you know, as long as it was a quality source of horse meat. I think there's also a bit of worry that some of these horses that have been used for cheap meat might have been tainted with some sort of drug that's not safe for humans. So there is a slight health worry there. In my case, I don't think it's likely I would have eaten anything containing horse, because I've not had any of the products named, and most of my meat comes from organic sources. I get most of my groceries from an organic supplier, not because I'm a big supporter of organic foods or anything like that, because they do subscription deliveries. We've talked about this. The meat I get is high quality, locally sourced, and it's organic, but I don't care about any of that. I care about the subscription deliveries. I love the fact that they just drop it on my doorstep every Monday. It's brilliant. So yeah, I'm pretty confident the beef I've been eating is actually beef. But all this horsey hoo-ha has got me to thinking, what does horse taste like? And I don't know, I might see if I can find a supplier of the horse meat. I believe it's quite popular in certain portions of the EU. I think France, I don't know, I'm not sure. It's not like a super popular meat in France, but I do believe it's certainly less taboo there than it is here. I think it gets used in salami and stuff like that, so Italy probably has a reasonable consumption of horse meat. And no doubt other parts of the world eat horse as well. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with it, and I'm honestly not sure how it's come to sort of be deemed taboo. But there you go, this is the world that we live in. Tom Slinger says, Stu, have you ever been to the Octoberfest in Germany? I have not. In fact, I've never been to Germany full stop. But, of course, I would dearly love to go and indulge in Octoberfest, and I was thinking about doing it maybe this year. I'd like to. I don't know, I feel as though I need a bit more assurance when it comes to sort of income and what I'll be doing precisely in late September. But I might yet make it happen, because I would quite like to, I'd like to visit Germany for one, and, well, you know, obviously the drinking of beer isn't entirely unappealing to me either, so, yeah, I'd like to. I will certainly be sure to make it happen one year. And I almost feel like I know my way round Germany now with all the Euro trucking I've been doing. Thomas Jaffrey says, Hey Stu, I hate to be that guy, but this is not the first DLC weapon we have had in COD. Remember all the zombie weapons? Or that one launcher we got in the Vertigo DLC in MW3? Alright, fine. Technically you're correct, yes. The Peacekeeper is not the first DLC weapon in Call of Duty. But I think it's fair to say it's the first multiplayer DLC weapon, and by multiplayer, of course, I mean competitive multiplayer. And given that, you know, I'm speaking from the context of a multiplayer weapons guide, you can cut me some slack when it comes to terminology, can't you? Can't you? Oh, I don't know, there's always some contrarian, isn't there? Dino Necessity says, Stu, would you recommend rapid fire on the Peacekeeper? Well, I wouldn't not recommend it. It wouldn't mesh with my sort of mobile marksman build, but you can use it quite effectively. One thing I quite like, rapid fire, FMJ, extended clip. And you can just spray through walls and it's marvellously good fun. I'm not sure on the hard statistics, I don't know how well the Peacekeeper actually does with FMJ. It seems to me, from my fairly basic tests with the Peacekeeper, that it definitely has elevated penetration ability when compared to SMGs of the same damage level. I think both the M27, the MP7, and the Peacekeeper all have the same close range damage of 33 damage per shot. So I tested through a few different walls, and the Peacekeeper, well, it takes fewer shots to kill through any given surface than the MP7, but it doesn't kill quite as quickly as the M27. It's weird, it seems to be somewhere between the assault rifles and the SMGs. Which is unusual because penetration's never been quite that granular in Call of Duty. It's either been assault rifle level or SMG level. So an intermediate is kind of weird. So as for the Peacekeeper with FMJ, no idea where it lies. Probably about the same as an assault rifle, maybe even slightly better than a basic assault rifle. Who knows? Anyway. It may be not the best loadout, and you will churn through your ammunition very quickly, so Scavenger is recommended. But just using it like a mini LMG, spraying through walls. It's marvellously good fun, and it's pretty much how I did the 500 kill challenge with rapid fire. It was the most fun way that I found of doing it. Mind you, rapid fire, it's not too bad on the LMGs either. I used it quite a bit with the QBB. It's not bad on the Mark 48 either. I've got to say that with the other SMGs, didn't really like it too much. PDW, no, you lose a lot of your damage. MP7, it's not terrible, but I don't know. The Peacekeeper is probably definitely the most usable SMG with rapid fire, but whether it's a good attachment or not, I'm not so sure. But it is very good fun, and that certainly counts for something. Canucks Forever 123 says, "Hey Stu is uploading on a weekly schedule more for you or the viewers." Well, as far as YouTube is concerned, it certainly is beneficial to upload on a consistent schedule, just so people know when to check back for new content. And there's nothing wrong with a weekly upload, it works pretty well. Weekly is probably about the slowest you want to go for something like YouTube, though. I mean, what could you could go maybe slightly slower. Fortnightly? You'd have to have some pretty special content to get away with fortnightly. Monthly, again, it would have to be super special. Again, you could do it. It depends on the content, but there is a balance to be had between regularity and sort of the frequency at which you upload. Obviously, the more frequently you upload, the more views you will tend to get in any given time period, because more videos generally equates to more views. So if we go faster than weekly, then we go to, well, daily is the only really regular one. I suppose I could do bi-weekly or tri-weekly, and I kind of already am bi-weekly if you count the bonus footage. I realise it's on a separate channel, but it's still me making this video. But when it comes to the weapon guides, obviously making videos takes a certain degree of time, and you can't do a daily video if a video takes more than a day to produce. And that much is very much true in the case of the weapon guides. Now, as a casual estimate, I'd probably say there's about 4 days worth of work in each weapon guide. That's maybe a day for gameplay, half a day for graphics, a day for script writing, half a day for voiceover and sound, half a day for editing, and then half a day for the ancillary stuff, you know, uploading, making sure everything's done, and all the rest of it. So, yeah, that's about 4 days worth of work, and it's a comfortable 4 days work. I mean, I'm not slacking off here. I'm not telling you 4 days when it's actually less than a day's worth of work. It's actually 4 days worth of work. Now, I could probably, if I worked super extra hard, I could probably fit that into 3 days. I'd be rushed, of course. And the only way to do 3 days comfortably is really to cut some corners. I could reduce the amount of gameplay I record. I could stop gilding the weapons and just maybe record for a couple of hours. I could maybe cut some other corners in terms of editing. I could maybe simplify some of the graphics. But all of these things would impact the final product in some fashion, which is why I'm reluctant to do it. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that 4 days worth of work, you can't do 2 lots of 4 days worth of work in a 7-day period, which means going bi-weekly with the weapon guides is kind of troublesome. Now, with the secondary weapons, I can normally do those. I can get a bit of a rush on and do them in about 3.5 days each. So basically, I work a bit of overtime and then boom, 2 videos in a week. But I've got to say, 4 days work fits nicely in a 7-day schedule. I get a couple of days off for a weekend, which enables me to play other games and, spend time with friends and family. And I also get, let's say I work 5 days, I've got 1 extra day for doing experimental stuff. Well, that may or may not be well received, but I like experimenting. I like working on new stuff. And I've got a couple of projects in the pipeline that, should be pretty interesting. It is now that I'm starting to think about April Fool's Day, for instance. And I've got a couple of projects in mind that I will need to do sort of in parallel to the existing weapon guides. So I need to start work on them pretty soon. I also have some plans for Drinks Ahoy stuff. I get a few people asking me about Beverage Guide Express and the return of regular episodes of that. And it is in the pipeline, kind of, but I'm thinking about maybe changing it up slightly. I'm currently working on, it's about a 17 or 18 minute long special, and I'm thinking of launching a dedicated Drinks Ahoy channel. But obviously, I'm knee deep in the Black Ops 2 stuff, so I can't devote too much. I get maybe, like, say, 1 day a week. And I'm not going to lie, sometimes I'll just waste that day on trucking. But I've got a whole bunch of ideas and things that I'd like to do that I'm pushing forward on, and Drinks Ahoy is one of them. Just, as and when I get time available. So to summarise, is uploading on a weekly schedule more for you or the viewers? Well, it comes down to the fact that videos take a non-zero amount of time to put together. And the weekly schedule, it fits around the production schedule for the videos rather comfortably. There's a little bit of wriggle room, maybe I could work harder, but no, I like to have a little bit of spare time to do other stuff, to experiment, to plant new seeds. Blackflare71 says, Scavenger is also a good idea for the PK, right? It does run out of ammo right in the middle of a match. It's not a bad choice, there are no bad choices. I've got to say that I was recording with the Peacekeeper pretty much as soon as it was released, so, well, everyone was using the Peacekeeper. So ammunition for me, not a problem, not in the slightest. I could just, you know, walk over somebody's corpse and I'd have pretty much the maximum supply once again. So Scavenger's usefulness kind of, it boils down to a couple of factors. It boils down to the consumption of the gun, how fast it fires and how big the initial supply is, which is also dependent on magazine size. And secondly, it also comes down to how popular a gun is at any given moment. Impossible to say how popular the Peacekeeper will be in, say, a few weeks. I don't know, I mean, it has the potential to be moderately popular, but I don't think it's going to be a top-tier weapon. So, I don't know, you've just got to play by ear. I mean, if you do find yourself running out all too often, then, by all means, put Scavenger on. However, I've got to say, Toughness is a pretty solid choice, because you are so reliant on pumping lead continuously onto a target. You've got to get 4 shots on. Staying on target is very important, so Toughness is a very, very good choice for the Peacekeeper. That's why I recommended it. Oh, hey, look, it's a beer question. Scribbenizer says, Hey Stu, I was wondering if you had a favourite cheap beer. You know, things like Bud Light, Coors, PBR, stuff like that. As a poor college student, I cannot afford to buy craft or anything like that. So if I'm going to buy cheap, I'd like to buy a Stu-approved cheap. Now, from the sounds of things, you're living in America, and I'm not too familiar with the beer market in America. I'm familiar with the beers, but I'm not familiar with the prices so much. But as for my own personal choice of a inexpensive beer, my go-to in a situation where there's just nothing but relatively inexpensive commercial beers on offer is probably Guinness. I mean, Guinness isn't like bottom end, it's not super cheap, but it's as expensive as a regular macro lager. That's pretty much what it's priced to compete with. And if I'm drinking at home, then I can probably get like an 8-pack of cans for about £8, which is, well, that's £1 a can, which I consider to be relatively inexpensive. It's not the cheapest thing I could drink, but if you can't afford £1 a can, you're pretty much in hobo territory. So yeah, Guinness, that's my go-to, but I don't know how cheap Guinness is in America. I'm pretty sure you can get it. It's a common brew, but I'm almost certain it's going to be more expensive across the Atlantic than it is over here. I have a feeling that if you're in America, you're pretty much consigned to drinking a macro lager if you want cheap. And even more granular than America, I mean, it comes down to which region you're in. There are actually some fairly decent lagers available in the US, sort of the more traditional ones. I don't know how expensive they are, but stuff like Yingling, Shiner Bock, maybe Schlitz. If you're West Coast, then Anchor are always a good choice. If you're East Coast, then something like Brooklyn Lager, Sam Adams, these are also good. But again, these might be on the slightly pricier side. If you ask me, though, it's better to have one decent beer than to have 6 pretty awful ones, so maybe you just want to drink less. Drink less, but better. That's my advice. Oh, and if you want quality, then drink local, because generally speaking, every area has a decent beer available nearby, and because it's local, it will be cheaper, because it's got to travel less distance. Alright, next question. This is actually the last question. JRAPC Daikari. Thank you for the pronunciation guide. It's a little bit arrogant, though. You know, this is how you say my comments, Stu. Stew, beer, stew. What's your opinion on bronies? I'm sure I've seen this question a few times, and I don't think I understand. I don't see people who watch Breaking Bad ask me, Stu, what do you think of people who watch Breaking Bad? What do you mean, what do I think of people who watch Breaking Bad? I think they watch a television program. And the same goes for bronies. I don't care that you watch My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I mean, why would I? I suppose I find it unusual that a group of people identify themselves by a television program that they watch, and that they seem so insecure about the fact that they watch this. It's like, if you enjoy it, watch it. It doesn't matter. The very presence of these questions makes me think, why are bronies so insecure about the fact that they are bronies? Look, nobody knows what you enjoy better than you know. So if you like something, then just watch it. Do I watch My Little Pony? No, I don't watch My Little Pony. I do watch Adventure Time, though. I quite enjoy that. But I don't know what they call people who watch that, so there we go. Anyway, that's me. I'm out of questions, so I'm just going to ramble on until I reach the end of the bonus footage for a little while. Maybe I can recap what I've been working on. Well, of course, as I announced last week on the end of the Peacekeeper guide, the combat knife is coming next. I know. Some people are like, Stu, cover a real weapon, don't cover the... It's a real weapon, I have to get it gold, don't I? And so I've got it gold now, so I've done that. Kind of a frustrating weapon, but I think I got some reasonably nice clips. The clips are kind of different with a knife. It's less sort of instant action like a three-man spray, and it's more suspense. You know, it's more like, I've got two guys, and I'm going to get this third guy around the corner, but I'm going to lurk for a little while, and then bam, face stab. So the gameplay's kind of slower paced, which means the clips are kind of longer, but I don't know, I think it's more interesting. It's certainly an interesting style of play. It's very ninja-esque. You've got to be lightning quick, and then you've got to stop. It's always stop-start, and then you lurk in a dark corner for a little while, and then you wait until the moment is right, and then you pounce, and then you get gunned down, because the knife is terrible. But yeah, I think my clips are alright. I recorded for a little while, about 4 hours, and I got... Well, like I say, I got it gold, which means I've got a few bloodthirsties under my belt. Got a few double kills, which... trust me, a double kill, for me... The fact that I'm able to stab two people consistently is quite impressive, to me at least, because, I don't know, it feels almost as if, like, if you approach two guys from behind, the second guy, it's a bit of a crapshoot, because you really need them to remain absolutely still to be assured of a kill, and if they move at the last minute and you miss, you whiff them, then you're pretty much, well, you're in trouble. But it's out of the way, and I consider the knife to be a default unlock. So that'll be... After I've done the knife, after I've done the TAC 45 and the FHJ 18AA, I would have done all of the default unlocked weapons. Which means we'll be about, maybe, that's about a third of the way through the weapons, maybe slightly more than the third. Depends on how many DLC weapons are coming, of course. And then what we can start to do is ratchet up the unlock ranks. What have we got? The SWAT is the first one, I can tell you that much. Then the LSAT, the Vector, the B-23R, the FAL, the Crossbow, the MSMC, Executioner M27, Assault Shield, KSG, Chicom, Hammer, which will be the LMGs done, the Scar H, the RPG, which will be the launchers done, the Ballista, the Cap 40, which is the handguns rounded out, the SMR, the Scorpion Evo, which is the SMGs, the M8A1, the Ballistic Knife, which rounds out the specials, the M1216 is the final shotgun, the XBR-50, the final sniper rifle, and then the AN-94, the final assault rifle, and the final weapon overall, which will give me diamond on everything. Of course, the DLC weapons will be slotted in there as well. So that's pretty much the next 30 weeks locked up, which means we should finish before the next Call of Duty comes out, but we'll certainly have a full year of entertainment ahead of us. Oh, how exciting. If I get time, I might even do the two score streak weapons, you know, the War Machine and the Death Machine. But I don't know, we'll see about that, eh? Anyway, thank you very much for watching. This has been the bonus footage for the Peacekeeper, and until next time, on Friday, when we do the knife, farewell.